Hey, Tony from BikeBerry. So I'm upstairs in the shop, and this is where I have an office area. We're going to dive in deep on some performance parts that are pretty uncommon. Let's roll. All right. So what we're going to do before I go through all the parts here on my table is some of these are controversial, okay? I'm just going to say that right now. So the goal of this video is I want to hear your opinions in the comments below of your experience with them, good or bad. If you hate it, if you think it's snake oil, say so and say why, okay? Say the absolute truth of why. That's very important here because I believe a lot of people say stuff without actually ever really trying a product or understand it from its usage viewpoint, okay? But because of, I'm going to finish out the rest of the year on focusing on performance parts of every type because I want to know what is really useful and helpful and for what situation. That way you know how to fix the issue that you have of, hey, I want to get a little more speed out of it. Or I want just a little bit better performance. Or I want a little bit more horsepower or whatever. I want better mileage per gallon kind of thing. Like whatever your goal is, I want to learn these parts so well that I can help you to that level. So without further ado, I'm going to go through these parts and all the ones that you've had experience with. I want to know your honest opinion. If you think they're amazing, if you think they stink, whatever it is, I want to know. For the second time, let's roll. First up is we have an intake reed valve. So this replaces like your typical intake. You take that out. You put this reed valve intake in. Boom, like that. Oops, sorry, I got it upside down. Something like that. That goes on there and it bolts in place. So that's pretty cool. So let's see what we've had people use this. The Freeman says, very impressed. I put a new hot engine on my beach cruiser. Bolt spacing for the reed valves that I already have on hand wouldn't fit because of the 40mm bolt spacing. I ordered this reed last Wednesday, got it today. Inside of 10 minutes, had it installed. First short test ride, I have so much more low-end torque. The engine comes up temperature smoother, better idle, get up and go has really improved. I think a little bit of runtime should improve running even more. I highly recommend this 40mm reed valve to anyone who wants a bit more performance out of the 6680 or 66cc bike engine. So that's really cool. Somebody had some trouble there with their engine not running so smooth, and that really helped it. So I'll take that feedback. So when I install it on mine, that's what I'll be looking forward. So let me know in the comments below if you've actually used this product and what your experience is with it, and then what you had to adjust carburetor-wise and everything so that other people can mimic your experience with it if you've had, good or bad. Let me know. All right, the next thing we're going to look at is an X. Let's roll. The export exhaust assembly. So you can see that it has a couple gaskets, the bolts that you'll need because it's going to lengthen the bolts that are needed for your muffler. Yeah, I think it's very interesting. According to the site, it's supposed to go between your exhaust port and your muffler. Add a little extra cooling, supposed to increase low end performance and top end. So that's a tall order to fill. So I'm excited to see how that actually works. But what people reported was they loved that it really was a little extender for their exhaust. But there's plenty of reviews that talk about its performance like it did what it said it was going to do. All right, let's run through these. So fits well, extends muffler out beyond the pedal, like it. Next one is somebody who just saying nice things. BBR tuning, CC export, exhaust assembly. From what I understand, this should help with cooling and increased performance. Next one's BBR tuning, CC export, exhaust assembly. Seems to improve power as advertised. I needed to trim the fins a little to make it fit, but I just used a hacksaw. No problem. Good. But I had to do a little bit of modification to the fins as they were too tall and the bolts are too long. I'd recommend it still as I've noticed my low end power is better. Great add-on. I really like the possibility of not having to bend the stock pipe due to my frame. The port allowed me better clearance, easy assembly, a few minutes to install. It makes the engine looks nice and provides performance for sure. Okay, well, that sounds like it did as advertised, as it was supposed to do. So if you've had experience with the export, let me know in the comments below what it did for you, how it worked, and what you like about it. Are you still using it? Let me know. Comment below. Okay, this next one, it's very controversial. People have written long paragraphs of how much they hate it, how stupid it is. Let's take a look. So I'm almost hesitant to not show it, but I think we have to because you know me, I'm not scared to try anything, to look into it and see how it actually works. Boom. The Boost Bottle. All right, so I'm going to let you in on a little something I learned. The Boost Bottle is really for those carburetors that you can't get dialed in. That's really the use for it, why it was pulled into this industry. So if you have a carburetor that you can't get dialed in, try a Boost Bottle. It's a cheap fix that may work. Now, I'm going to go through my carburetors and I'm going to find one that's messed up and we're going to test the Boost Bottle and see if it actually helps. That's what we're going to do. To make the Boost Bottle work for you and your situation on your bike, you're going to need an intake with this threaded hole here. Because this goes into there, this end on here. That's how it works. So that's on there. This goes in there like that. Carburetor on here, engine. The chamber is supposed to help with the airflow. So like I said, we're going to find a bad carb that's performing poorly. We're going to attach this on there. We're going to give it a test run. All right, I'll tell you, there was 4 pages of reviews that you can look at on the site. So I'm going to skim through them, but they are all pretty positive, and we're saying that it helped them in their own unique situation. So we'll just start out with this product works well as advertised. Somebody who also said, I've only taken the bike out once since I've had the Boost Bottle. I can only tell you what my preliminary findings were. It did seem like it was getting better idle at mid and low RPMs. I'll have to test further to find out if this is consistent. Next is very good when motor's bogging out. Great piece. This item looks great. Smoothed out power and added top end horsepower. I will use this part on any new build. Simple to install and adds to the experience. So it says in it, not only cured my bike's common cold, it added a little bit of pep to the engine. It runs smooth now, up and down hills. Admittedly, it's nothing like nitrous, but you can't beat the price for 3 things it does: looks, smoothness, and easy installation. This is an honest review, so I'll spend a little time on this one. This is an honest review. I will give you the good and the bad. The good, product looks great installed on your bike. The pre-drilled manifold that comes with is nicely done and lets you revert back to your stock one if needed. Install it is very easy and takes 5 minutes. It seems like they seem to make the engine run a little smoother, especially on high RPMs. Like it is a touch more stable and less vibration, which is a feature stated. The bad, no noticeable power increase, only a smoother engine. That makes sense. At low RPM, the idle sometimes fluctuates. My kit did not come with the zip ties. Luckily, I had some. Overall, it is only $30, and I hear some engines get better results depending on your setup. May not do everything it says, but if you're not sure, I would say buy one and see for yourself. It's not too big of a gamble. Well, that's pretty awesome. Saved my old motor. The BBR tuning Boost Bottle saved my old 49cc stock motor. After installing the Boost Bottle, motor starts right up and runs smoother than it ever did. Easy to install and looks really cool. Another great BBR product. Crazy performance. So it makes my engine idle extremely high compared to stock engines, but only once it's warmed up. It made it very tricky to tune the carburetor because if I set it to idle when it starts, then it will rev super high when it's warmed up. The top end is huge. With the proper rich fuel oil ratio, the top end just keeps going and going. It also makes it more fuel efficient. Instead of the engine jerking when it's low on fuel, it runs smoother with these. Make sure to install hose clamps on every connection. Air leaks will hinder your bike's performance. Also make sure to mount these with gravity in mind because I've seen fuel condense in these bottles and they don't move much when the bottle is pointing down. Really awesome upgrade though, I recommend it. Well, that's interesting. I'm curious on there, like how they've used it over time and how it changed, its performance improved or changed. All right, so that's really interesting. Overall, people had their own situations of engine performance that this seemed to solve for them. So that really goes along with what I had heard about it, of really why it's in this industry, not as a extra level of performance, but to really solve a problem. So dive through the reviews on here and decide if that's right for you. So comment below your Boost Bottle story. I want to hear it. If you absolutely hate it, if you loathe it, if you think it's the worst thing in the world, or if it's the best thing in the world. If you're like, yeah, I had an engine, it wouldn't idle worth nothing, and I put the Boost Bottle on it and it made it better in whatever way that it made it better. So let me know in the comments below your Boost Bottle story. I want to know. Next up is windowed pistons. So this is for your like stage 4 engine that, 66, 80 cc. This is next level performance. So as soon as you start getting into reed valves and doing all that stuff, everybody says a windowed piston is a must. So I'm excited to try this one. You can window your own by cutting the sides out, but you can just order this one and it's all ready to roll for you. Which leads to the final thing that I have right here. So this is the BBR Tuning Racing Series DIO cylinder body and high performance 21mm OKO carburetor assembly. So I left out the OKO carb on here because you can watch the other video that we talked about, the introduction of the OKO carb. But we'll definitely bring it into when we get this thing fully mounted up and working. So you could see that it has an iron sleeve. And you can see that it's pre-ported. Everything's bigger than what it used to be. There is some, area where you need to clean up the iron sleeve, which is common for iron sleeves because they put them in afterwards and they leave it up to you to, for the fit and finish of that part. Otherwise, it's pretty clean. I wouldn't say there's much of anything else that needs to be tended to, but I always say take everything apart and give it the once over before you decide to, get it started and going or whatever. Because, anybody would do that with once you start changing parts out. So reed valve assembly in here, and, your OKO carb mounts on here, which it's a honking thing. But yeah, this is, if you don't want to port it yourself, this is the option. So you can pretty much clean it up a little bit, put it on your engine, add in your piston here, and you'll be good to go. So I look at this for someone who goes, okay, I've messed with the basic engine kits for quite a while. I've, kind of been adjusting things. I think I know my way around at a basic level, but now I want to go further. So I think this would be your next step, because you can go, okay, well, I'm kind of worried about porting it. You could get this one, learn to do a little cleanup on it, start to fine tune a reed valve system and the OKO carb and all that. And I think it'll give you a great performing engine for one, but it'll help you learn so that you could get more advanced and do fancier engine builds and all that stuff. So that's where I see this as a valuable thing. It's like, wow, okay, this opens the door for you pretty easily, and you'll have a lot of fun with it, and you'll learn to go to the next level. So I'm excited. So anybody who has tried this, and I want honest opinions, if you've really bought this and you put it on and you've gone through those steps I mentioned, let me know below. Like, did it was it exactly what you expected, and did it perform as expected, or did it miss the mark somehow? So let me know in the comments below if this combination fulfilled the needs that you have. All right, let me have it. Comment below. I want your experience with those parts, good, bad. I want you to trash it if you would like to trash it. I want you to talk it up if you think it's the best thing since sliced bread. So I'm excited because these are little oddball performance parts that I think have potential. So I want to know what your experience is first, and then I'll try it. I'll put it to the test. Let's roll.